can feel it coming, like a moving tide. Yeah. I pack my things and start running, 'cause I can face it on my own. But when you're by my side, I feel stronger. No need to run, no need to hide with you. Made up my mind. It is you that I will follow, 'cause it is our time, yeah, and I won't wait.
Hi, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us for United Against Gender-Based Violence, a Black youth-led roundtable featuring program participants from our GGE JustUs program. My name is Erica, I use she, her pronouns, and I'm one of the JustUs program managers. And I just want to give us a little bit of an introduction to Girls for Gender Equity and JustUs before we get started. So Girls for Gender Equity, GGE, works intergenerationally through a Black feminist lens to achieve gender and racial justice by centering the leadership of Black girls and gender expansive young people of color to reshape culture and policy through advocacy, youth-led programming, and shifting dominant narratives. And one of those programs is JustUs. So a collaborative demonstration project by Girls for Gender Equity and Rising Ground Steps to End Family Violence. JustUs is a gender responsive diversion program for lesbian, gay, bisexual, cis, and trans girls and gender nonconforming youth of color with ties to Brooklyn who are systems impacted. JustUs members engage in groups that introduce participants to community building and advocacy, problem solving and conflict management, understanding themselves and their identities, social justice education and youth leadership, and organizing and advocating for change. JustUs also provides individual counseling and economic empowerment services. We're coming together today to hold this roundtable in honor of the 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence campaign, also known as the 16 Days campaign. The 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence campaign is an international campaign that runs from November 25th, the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, until December 10th, Human Rights Day. For over 30 years, the 16 Days campaign has highlighted the need to eliminate GBV and moved us closer to this goal. And for years, GGE has engaged with this campaign and is honored to continue to do so. This year's theme for 16 Days is Unite, activism to end violence against women and girls. And so today we are uniting against gender-based violence in this Black youth-led roundtable. At this time, I'd like to introduce our wonderful moderator for the panel, Abby Morin. Abby is a young Black girl and a Brooklyn native with strong family roots in Haiti. She started her role at Girls for Gender Equity as an intern for Sisters in Strength in 2021. Abby now works closely with our GGE Equal Justice Works legal fellow, Tyja Martin, as their legal intern, helping to cultivate the Know Your Rights project. We're so happy to have Abby with us today, and I'm gonna pass it over to her to lead us for the rest of the panel.
I didn't even put it.
Hi, everybody. Sorry, I'm waiting for the slides to pop up and then I got y'all based off that too. All righty. Okay. So what is gender-based violence? I don't know if we wanted to, I can just shoot that out and somebody wanted to just share out real quick before we even get into the definitions for real. Anybody? It's okay, girl, though. We'll probably get there. So we can go on to the next slide. Okay. Gender-based violence, a broad spectrum of violence that is in part or in whole related to someone's gender identity, gender expression, or sexual orientation. So then we have intimate partner violence, IPV, domestic violence, DV, a pattern of abusive behaviors used to exert power and control over a current or former romantic, sexual, or intimate partner. Domestic violence is when such behaviors manifest within a family or at home context between parents, and their children, or between family members. Then we have harassment, i.e. street sexual, etc. Unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal, nonverbal, or physical conduct of a sexual nature. I know that was a lot of words and like just a whole bunch of mouthfuls. I don't know if anybody wants to break this down for us real quick. Don't be shy, y'all. It can be any one of them, the gender-based, the intimate partner violence. I can't really see if hands are up or not. Erica, I'm not sure. If not, it's okay.
Gender-based violence is like just like an unfair treatment or unfair treatment towards one specific gender, things that you wouldn't often see happening to the other gender more than the other. So yeah, that's what that means.
Thank you. Anybody else, or are we ready to move on? Move on, please. Yep. All right. So we can take it to the next slide. Okay. Types of gender-based violence. We have verbal abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, financial abuse, technological abuse. And before we head on to the next slide, I'm going to ask the same thing over. Like, can anybody just choose any random one from this and like give me a little bit what you think it is, whether it's verbal abuse, emotional abuse, or what that means to you? Oh, and Erica, if you see hands up, you can just call on anybody because I can't really see.
I could define everyone, to be honest, but I'm gonna just be nice and define one. I'm gonna choose financial abuse. Financial abuse is when you're basically stripping somebody of their powers for their own money. Like people who have no access to buying things or getting something to eat, things as simple as that, because of their partner, would be considered financial abuse. But now that I think about it, financial abuse happens in everyday situations too. Like parents and a child is kind of a little bit financial abuse to me because of the fact that, like, you know, a child doesn't have access to getting money like a parent would, and kids are given what the parent chooses to give them, and you know, to a certain extent that's not okay to me. But I feel like financial abuse is just like not giving someone access to their own funds, or yeah.
Thank you. And Santana, I saw your hand up too. So if you want to go.
I want to deal with physical abuse. I just feel like physical abuse is when your partner or whoever is putting their hands on you and like just putting their hands on you physically, hurting you. Yeah, stuff like that.
Thank you. Aniayah, you can go ahead.
Thank you. I would say verbal and emotional abuse is harmful or hateful acts directed towards someone based upon their gender, such as like stalking, sexual harassment, harmful words and actions.
Thank you. I think all of those are actually spot on and the best terms you could put them. So thank you, everybody.
Sorry, Abby, I think also Rayshal might have wanted to share.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead. I didn't see that.
It's okay. I also want to tie the knot with sexual and technological abuse. Sexual abuse is where you know, you're touched somewhere that sorry, you're touched somewhere that you feel uncomfortable, you're forced, for example, if someone is forced onto you or whoever without consent, any sexual act without consent, basically, that's sexual abuse. And technological abuse is more like cyberbullying online. So yeah.
Thank you, Ray. Actually, when I just saw technological abuse and I was kind of lost. I was like, that was technological abuse, but it makes sense when you put it like that too. So thank you, everybody. We're gonna go to the next slide. I'm sorry, you guys hear like background. Okay, let's talk about it. I'm sorry, is this still me? I can't really tell.
Yeah, Abby, this will be us moving into the roundtable questions. So we can stop sharing now.
All right. Oh, 1 second. Sorry. Sorry, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I had to pull up the questions. Well, not the questions. Okay. So today during this roundtable, we're going to be talking about gender-based violence, specifically how Black youth experience gender-based violence and what we can and must do about it. First, we can all introduce ourselves with our names, pronouns. I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong slide, aren't I?
No, you're good. You're great.
Okay, I thought I heard this in the beginning too. All right. So for our roundtable questions, financial, verbal, emotional, gender-based violence. So typically when people think about gender-based violence or talk about it, it seems to be centered around physical and sexual abuse. But as we've seen, there are other types of gender-based violence. We've seen that, yeah, what does financial gender-based violence look like? I guess we'll start off with that and then we'll keep building on. So what does financial gender-based violence look like in your eyes?
Financial gender-based violence looks like a Black female getting paid less than a white man because, for those reasons. Most of the time, it's around the fact that it's just racism or sexism. But yeah, I feel like financial gender-based violence is just exactly what it sounds like not giving someone the equity, right? The equity that they need, or equality. Sorry.
You're good. Thank you. And feel free after one another, if you want to say something, just jump in. You don't really have to raise your hand. So does anybody else want to jump in before we move on to the next question? So dive in a little more.
I want to add on, for financial based violence, I feel like, can you guys hear me? Mostly women are affected through financial based violence, because we as Black women, most specifically, we're in the bottom of I wouldn't say food chain because it's like a status thingy. So it's just like we're at the bottom of the status because we have the Black woman at the bottom and then we have the white man all the way at the top. So it's just like with these violence, mostly Black women are affected by that. And financial based violence, it could be, for example, it could be there, let's say for instance we have two people in a relationship and the partner, which is the guy, he doesn't trust his girlfriend or he's probably overprotective of her, so he wants to have control over everything in her life. And it could be a situation where he has control over her income, so this prevents her from freely making decisions money wise on her own. So I guess that's an example of gender-based violence financially.
Thank you. I kind of wanted to add on to you too, Ray and Christina. I feel like, well, I think for financial based violence, like when you hear it, it sounds so schmucked up. Like you just think about it just being in a workplace, I guess. But like I'm thinking about it like coming from like, I guess, a child's perspective or like, you know, having somebody as a parent and like there's certain things that, yeah, okay, if you're like 16, maybe 15, you could probably get a job. And not everybody even has the opportunity to be able to work. So there's certain things, and it's not even funny, but like, I don't know why my parents be like, I don't know if anybody else's parents be like, I forgot what they would be saying, but they'd be like, oh, whenever I need something or I need to ask for something, it's like always a yada, 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 but it's like, you had me. Like, there's like, I feel like sometimes it's like a certain need based on like what you want, but then they withhold things from you that I guess in their standard is not what you need or what you want. But I feel like in a sense, like, if you really dive down to it, that is financial based violence because sometimes they'll intentionally hold up to things. And it's like, what can you really do about it? Like if they're their primary source, your primary source of income and all of that. So I just want to throw that in there. And if anybody else want to go in or ready to jump into the next question, just let me know.
One example that I do have is, let's say your parents decided that you shouldn't get a job because you're a girl, but they allow their brother to get one. That will be withholding your finances because you're a female based upon your gender.
All right, thank you. Santana, did you want to add anything or no? All right. So the next question, we're basically breaking them up, is what does verbal/emotional gender-based violence look like? And the floor is open for anybody.
Verbal slash emotional gender-based violence is more like words. Yeah, verbal words. And it's just like bringing down someone for who they are, especially for women. I guess other parties bring down who they are, I guess in society, and the oppressor can be probably going through it or have problems of their own, and they use whatever they're going through as a way of bringing out someone else. For example, I don't know, it could be like telling me, like, for example, somebody who is, because I remember in high school, like uh someone telling me, oh, my skin is too dark because they have a problem with themselves, basically, like we're the same color. um and it's just they was dealing with whatever they was dealing with, and because um they wanted to be oppressor, they it was like a verbal abuse and emotional abuse, because I would look at myself like, oh wow, like I really look different from everybody else, or like I'm not good enough. And these type of violence can really push someone to, it breaks their confidence, basically, because emotional abuse do break, especially for women, because women are very, very emotional. So that it broke my confidence down, but I love myself. I know who I am. I love myself, and I don't care what other people think. I love the skin that I'm in. So yeah.
Thank you. Go ahead, Christina. I don't want
I wanted to add on to Rachel because I'm sitting here while she's talking, trying to like find out how can I like think of one that's directed towards like only one gender, but I couldn't. But I feel like verbal and emotional gender-based violence is like manipulating somebody or gaslighting someone and just like, trying to get their way by doing things that will intentionally hurt the other person's mental health.
I actually do have one directed towards one gender, and that's comments and jokes about women that may present them as sexual objects, such as sexual harassment.
Santana, did you want to throw anything? It's okay if you don't. I'm just like, yes, no, maybe so. I'll give you a second.
I was gonna like what Rayshal said was basically what I was gonna say. Like calling your partner names, trying to hurt their feelings, saying hurtful things, stuff like that.
Thank you. I kind of wanted to just throw this into, I felt like, well, I personally felt like this one was not to say more important, but very important too, because I think sometimes when people think of abuse or something, like they hear verbal and emotional abuse and they're like, bro, what are you talking about? Like you just can't like you're not tough enough to handle what people are saying and stuff like that. And that's exactly how people end up in the states that they end up like mentally and how they feel emotionally, because verbal and emotional abuse, I feel like they're the most undermined, like I guess category of abuse, because people don't understand like words do hurt and does impact people. And like for example, like somebody could be saying like they could be in a relationship and they'd be like, oh yeah, but my man don't hit me, but he's over here telling you you're nothing every other day, or saying you can't do this or do that without him. And same with parents. It's like, oh yeah, my parents don't really restrain me or they don't hit me or something like that, but they're telling me I'm not good enough, or like I won't be able to amount to this or that. That's still emotional and verbal abuse and family trauma. So I just want to throw it in. But with that, I'm going to continue on. And the next question is, how are young people, I guess young people today, experiencing gender-based violence?
Young people are experiencing gender-based violence through sadly things that they have to attend to, like school or work. And sometimes people experience it, like you said, in their house, or some people experience gender-based violence through like peer pressure and stuff like that. So I feel like gender-based violence is like something that comes from almost every, you know.
I just want to add on, society. Women experience, or young women and young people experience mostly gender-based violence in society, and it's more like a systematic way of trying to bring down a Black woman because of power, because of the higher ups, because I mentioned earlier about the status and how the white man is up there. It's more about power and in society, because Black women, we have power, and it's just we are being oppressed so much times and for so long that like they take away our power from us, and it's just like we're left to nothing. And society expects us to, be something, and we can't really do much when they take away our power from us. How are we supposed to? And I mentioned something about the system. It's like a systematic oppression. This happens, it starts in school. Well, from my knowledge, it starts in school, where they will do stuff like if you come to school late, you're gonna get if you come to school late too much times, you're gonna get suspended. Why would you suspend a child from school, a Black woman from school? Like, you're taken away from there, and you expect them to be educated, come to school, do well, make it, and you suspend them, and you take away their education, their right to education. Throughout that suspension, the school officials are not doing anything. They, within that window of suspension, what are the kids doing at home? They're basically like, maybe, I don't know, doing nothing, basically nothing educational, nothing that they will be doing if they was to be in school. For example, let me think. I don't know, it just makes no sense. It makes no sense that like, for example, you're punishing me because I'm coming to school late, or I messed up in school. You're taking my education away from me. Now when I come back to school, I have to try to catch up with all that work that I missed due to suspension, and I'm not learning anything. What is in school that is, what are they trying to help us? They're not even, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. They're not even trying to help us in the school system, but it's just like a way of kind of bringing us down. For example, like I mentioned the systematic, like they set us up for failure with all these suspension, all of these things, it goes on a record, you know? And it's just like with all of these like suspensions and like correction, whatever, it goes on your record, and it travels with you. Like, for example, you go to college and you're looking for jobs and stuff like that. All of these like faults, it comes with you. So it's just like, is the society really trying to help us be better Black women, or are they trying to oppress us and bring us down? So yeah, I'm sorry I was all over the place.
Oh, you ate that up, girly.
Oh, Aniayah, I thought you were gonna say something. That's all. Did you want to go? Okay. We'll jump in. Yes, Rachel and Christina, both of y'all with the add-ons. I think that was really great, especially what you were saying about like society and that impact. I think when it comes, like, how are we experiencing it today? I feel like, okay, in two different ways. I don't know if it's gonna make sense. Like from like aspects of a young women, I think we're now at a more progressive age where like, you know, young women, and it's great actually. That's what I'm trying to say. It's great. Like we're getting more into ourselves. I feel like now is not just the year, but now is the time like girls have been getting really into themselves, like being more confident and stuff like that. And I think I'm like really tired of, once again, men and just people. And this is exactly how like a lot of girls are getting in situations because men keep like manipulating them or trying to take them, and it always ends up with, it's because of what you're wearing outside. And we're experiencing these things, like they're not allowing us to like be in the best confines of ourselves and using what we wear or what we say or how we look or all of that basically to indulge in the gender-based violence. But I also think we're in a very progressive era where now gender is very expansive, and I don't think a lot of people have caught on to that, especially society today, which is why it's like leaving more room for people to like experience gender-based violence, because they're not only not accepting, but also it's just like they're diminishing these people and like who they are and how they're defining themselves, and that leaving room to just break them down, like whether that be physical, whether that be emotional, and it's like, what sucks. Santana and Aniayah, did you want to jump in? I'll make sure everybody gets a chance to speak before we move on to any questions. All right. Thumbs up if you're good.
I think the can you hear me? I think young people say,
Wait, it's a little staticky.
yeah.
While that is being worked on, I just want to jump in and say, I remember we watched a video in group, like we do drop in every Tuesday, at JustUs, and there was a video that we watched based off gender-based violence, and this one, it was this female, she was being bullied at school, and the most that the school official did was to, after a while, they suspend her over time, and after a while they kicked her out of the school. again, are you guys trying to oppress us, or like, or are you guys trying to help us become powerful Black women as we supposed to be? So they didn't, because for justice, right? When justice is where you tackle the issue at the root. So instead of tackling the issue at the root and trying to find out, why is this girl acting the way she is? Is it something that's going on at home? Is it something that's going on in school? Didn't even do that. Like, I feel like the higher ups in school, they didn't even care that much to try to figure out what's going on, why this Black female is acting the way she do, why is she getting in so much fights, why is she being suspended, like, why is she like a target, you know instead of they tackle the issue like that, it was easier for them to just suspend her or kick her out the school, or even call the cops on her. Like, how you expect Black women, how you expect us to grow if you're not trying to help us, And I would say in a lot of school system right now, like I know Black men go through it, but Black women specifically, like, there's a lot of issues at home that arise that causes a student to act different. There's a lot of issues in school, for example, bullying, that cause someone to act different or act out, as people say, act out. And instead of like school officials look at the issue like, okay, how can I help this student? How can I help the student advance or have a better life or career? You know what they do? They suspend them. And suspend them is just more like setting them up for failure. So yeah, I just want to add that in there.
Thank you. That was really good. I don't know if Santana and Aniayah, they're good, if the camera situation is good. I don't want to move on before I know if they want to say anything, or I can come back to them. Not yet? Okay, we can come back. We're going to go on to the next question. And if you guys want to just jump in, you can also type it in the chat. I can read it out loud if that's cool with you guys too. But the next question, actually, Ray, you were kind of seeping into it because of the schools. It's, what are some ways that gender-based violence shows up in schools? And we don't have to stay too long on this because I know we dived in on, but if anybody want to share some more thoughts on that.
Apart from suspensions and bullying, I want to put in race. Race is a way, because people in school, race and metal detectors. So people in school, they are, I would say brown people, or people like with caramel skin, are more favored in school, or basically in society in general. And since race is an issue, as I mentioned in my earlier personal experience, if a female is like dark brown, then she is most likely to get bullied in school, because the lighter skin tone is more favored. And another thing is metal detectors. We have a right to say no to the metal detectors. And I just feel like we're uneducated about our rights, and people, well, the higher ups, they think that they can basically get us to say, yeah, like, yeah, I'm in your school, you can do whatever. No, that's not okay. So metal detectors is a thing because, like, when you come in school and you see these big police officers and you have to go through these metal detectors, like, Black people are already, like, I wouldn't say scared of the police, but the not the aura, the thing around the police basically is just more like they oppress us. Like, instead of saving us and trying to protect us, they shoot us down and try to like diminish our value, diminish our power. Instead of they help us or help, like, protect us in society and stuff, they bring us down. So it's just that fear is planted within us when it comes to police officers and stuff like that. So now in school, that fear is even more there, because it's just like at a young age, even in school, they have that fear that is planted in us when we go through metal detectors and stuff like that. So I don't know if I'm kind of in the right lane, if anybody can help me, but yeah.
I wanted to add on to what Rayshal was saying. Gender-based violence shows up in schools like a teacher telling a girl to put on a sweater because she got on a tank top, something you might not ever see her do to a boy, or like a girl say, or a teacher saying, I mean, not even a teacher, or at work. At school, where a teacher might tell a girl, your afro's too big, or something like that, and she's in her natural state. But you might not ever see a teacher say that to a white female because her hair lays flat. Like, it's just, that's what I feel like gender-based violence is when it shows up in school, because there should be no reason why we're all in school for the same thing, but everyone's not getting the same treatment.
Go ahead, Santana, and then you can go, Aniayah.
I think it shows up in school because sometimes your classmates make uncomfortable comments to like, just uncomfortable things that make you feel uncomfortable in the classroom, and even teachers could be guilty of sexual assault, and it's happened before. And young men with young ladies in school with all this stuff going on, kids just don't feel comfortable telling the teachers or anybody about what's going on, even if they are getting uncomfortable things said to them. Some kids won't even tell the teachers or none of that because, like, what are you gonna do? Like, stuff happens all the time.
Thank you. You was breaking up a little, but I caught on to what you said. Aniayah, go ahead.
Over to Aniayah, if you want to send it to Aniayah. Send it closer to her too. Because the Wi-Fi.
I would say an example would probably be a transgender female being told by teachers that they have to use the women's bathroom. Sorry, I heard whoever said that. My dad was just calling me. I can hear Aniayah through whoever's speaker. Okay, I don't hear them, but you guys can like type it in the chat and meanwhile, if that's cool. Oh, I think it's better now because y'all not lagging, so I don't know if you want to try again. All right, while y'all working on that. Go ahead.
The question again.
I'm sorry, what did you say? I said, Santana, you can use Erica's mic.
All right. Oh, the type of stuff that happened in school. In school, gender-based violence shows up when classmates make uncomfortable comments to other classmates, and that like they could be asking you about your sexual life or anything that makes you feel uncomfortable. Um, it happens with teachers too, and I just feel like that's a big problem now because it's still going on and it's not being dealt with, and it's happening a lot, and I feel like a lot of kids are not speaking up because nobody's doing nothing about it.
Thank you. I don't know if you want to pass the mic to Aniayah. That working mic.
Another example that I have is an example I've encountered is a lot of males feeling like they can say what they want to say, then when females decide to say something back, they want to put their hands on them or think they can fight females, which isn't cool at all.
Something they would.
No.
They're not like that.
Literally.
Thank you.
Oh,
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I could put an example. My friend was in class or whatever the case may be, and they were in an argument. She was just talking, whatever the case may be. They were going back and forth, and he literally got up like he was about to do something to her, and that just infuriated me.
I don't like that. But thank you all for sharing. So we've been discussing a lot about what these specific things are, what they look like, and where we see that in. So now it's time to get to the nitty gritty and like really think about it. What are some ideas or what is needed to prevent or decrease gender-based violence in schools?
I feel like some people are still stuck on the concept question part of GBV. Some people don't. Well, I'm not gonna say some people. I feel like most people don't know what gender-based violence look like or what it is or how to define it. So I feel like ways that we could spread awareness is like social media, because getting in tune with whatever is trending right now or whatever catch the most attention. So like, you know, TikTok, that's a trending song or something, and just make it into a way where people could get into the topic. I also feel like more open houses could benefit people. I'm doing good. Benefit people to learn about gender-based violence and how to prevent it.
I would say tackling gender basics among teachers and school leaders, educating everyone, and attacking the root of the problem. I feel like awareness is the best case.
I wanted to add on to what Aniayah just said. Like, I feel like if they made it like not a class, but maybe like, because I don't feel like we need a whole class for that, but maybe like a small meeting before lunch or after lunch or something to like, you know, about what gender-based violence means. And because, you know, I don't want to like, you know, I want to make it make sense. I just feel like people being introduced would have a way more impact than just saying stop doing gender-based violence, stop, because we don't know what that is.
I just want to add on. I know we're talking about solutions, but I have an example of a gender-based violence that recently happened. I'm not gonna mention any names, but it was a case scenario where um the male is white and the female is black. Long story short, the male happened to put their hands on the female, and the female has a hard time recognizing that it's gender-based violence. Because they're in question, like, is this really called for? Is this really like something serious? Is this like, should I really, And it's just like, how do you deal with something like that? Like, yes, I've provided the necessary resources to that person in saying like, okay, yes, this is gender-based violence. This, you need to tackle this issue. This is not okay. You should not accept this, and just more like, and I guess for her, I recommended therapy. So therapy is a great source of like preventing or helping prevent that situation. So therapy, counseling, it could be one-on-one therapy, it could be group therapy. For schools, it could be after school programs where it's not a mandated thing, but it's more like a recreational like program where it helps students get their mind off of whatever is oppressing them. It could be educational, like as Christina mentioned, it could be like she said something about before lunch, maybe you could, I feel like it's something educational. Educate women about their rights. Educate them about gender-based violence, what is right and what is wrong. No is no, yes is yes. Another thing, I don't want to be here too long. I would say more the schools should be supported more, because I feel like the school system is not really supported. So I would just say restorative justice. Because school system, I feel like the school system definitely needs to be supported more. And yeah, meeting with advisors. So yeah.
Thank you. I agree with you all. I don't know who said it or who was trying to say it. I don't remember about like kind of like trainings or basically like meetings and something like that in schools. But I really agree with that. I feel like a lot of change can come from like when people have discussions just like we're having right now with like panels and stuff like that. And I'm like, I feel like you take this and put it in. Oh, thank you, Christina. Somebody just told me that was Christina. And if we take like channels like this and put it in a bigger setting where it's not just like where we as young people have to feel like we're complaining all the time, but more being solution oriented and like putting our ideas into like existence and speaking that to people's at power, which is like school officials and stuff like that. I feel like that would help a lot. And yeah, so if nobody else has anything to say, I'm gonna move on, but I want to hear Aniayah, Santana. Just thumbs up if you want to go, thumbs down if you're good. All right, so we just did that. So resources. It's okay to ask for help. Sorry. What resources are available to help support young people who are experiencing GBV, if you know, or if not?
Oh, wait, I keep forgetting. There are World Health. Keep forgetting. There are health organizations that offer both legal and emotional counseling services for people that have been experiencing gender-based violence. So I think that is a nice form of help.
I feel like resources that people can use would be like not them speaking to family, but maybe like higher up people speaking to their family, because I mean, who knows you better than your family? So it's better to get inside of, like, it's better to understand somebody sometimes if they don't want you to know whatever, you know. And I feel like groups like this, I'm not sure who said that, but groups like this makes a lot of, oh, it was you. Groups like this make a lot of sense, because when I first came to this group, I knew nothing. I promise you, I knew nothing. I knew nothing about gender-based violence or, equity, none of that. So I feel like groups like this is very, very beneficial, because it's not only something that is good to know, but I feel like it's a must, because this is things that sometimes people face and don't even know it till they get the definition, and then they're like, oh, I went through that before. So I feel like another solution would be counseling, therapy, like just speaking to somebody and helping them come up with a solution that they can that will be beneficial for them, because not every solution is gonna work for everybody the same way. And maybe extracurricular activities. Yeah, I just feel like that's mostly a distraction. So
Thank
Uh,
you.
I want
Go
to
ahead,
ask.
Ray.
another thing, another thing they can do to help support young people is
Speaking to them in groups and in therapists, you can tell them whatever they're telling you is confidential, make them feel more comfortable to open up with you and tell you about their business, because a lot of people won't open up to you because they don't want you to run with their business. So if you tell them, like, you make them feel comfortable when you're speaking to them and give them that feeling that you're really here for them, and you're not just listening because it's your job, and you give them that feeling that you're really here for them, they will open up with you more and feel comfortable to tell you about whatever. And teachers can support the students too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, for in like the school system, I feel like parents should also be like, okay, there should be like one-on-one therapy with students, and I also feel like parents should be included. Like if the student feel comfortable, it could be a meeting with the parent just to find out what's going on, or just to kind of like see how like school officials or whatever can help a parent like at home. Because I just feel like as I mentioned previously, um some of these like issues, it kind of starts at home. And maybe if some parents can like get help therapeutically, um like it could kind of tackle or help the issue a bit.
Thank you. That was really good. Did anybody want to throw one more thing in before I move on? All right, so I'm gonna move on. Let's take the time too. So wait, actually. Yep, that's what. So we just did. Okay. So now how can we support young people so that they feel comfortable asking for help? And I think I'm gonna just join these two questions. So the first one, how can we support young people so that they feel comfortable asking for help? And what is needed to prevent or decrease GBV for everyone? So those two, if you want me to repeat it fast.
Education. Oh.
I feel like, oh no, go ahead.
I would say education. Um, apart from the school system depriving Black women of education, I feel like as Black women, as we are, we can make a difference by educating our Black women about gender-based violence, what it is, how to prevent it. Like I feel like once we're more educated based on that, we're more able to protect ourselves and also educate our Black youths how to protect themselves. And it could be through social media, it could be campaigning, it could be a zine, it could be we can like go to a school and just like kind of educate Black women about how to protect themselves.
Um, I'm gonna add on to Rayshal. I was gonna say, we could support young people because me being a young person myself, I put myself in other people's shoes. And what if I was someone who needed support? How would someone be able to get me to open up to them or want to cooperate? So I feel like just letting people cope to a certain extent, not too much to where it's unhealthy, because I feel like that's one of the main issues that makes young people like push themselves away. People too pushy on or like insisting on make or trying to like involve themselves in your problems and stuff like that. And I don't appreciate that sometimes. And I feel like groups of people with the similar situation, because I spoke about this before. Like, I mean, it's just common sense. Why would I want to talk about something I don't relate to nobody in this room? So if maybe people who were grouped who had maybe not the same exact situation but similar situations where we could all like bounce off of each other's, you know, like it makes sense, because I just feel like sometimes people go about things the wrong way. So groups of people with similar situations would be helpful, and then welcoming environments like this one. Like this is actually, I'm not sure what worked for everyone, but this worked for me because I was very stubborn. Like nobody could get me to like. So I just feel like if people felt like they were comfortable or welcome, then they would get comfortable and welcome themselves and have a lot to say versus just being closed off and having nothing to say at all.
Thank you. I want to jump in with that too. I feel like
Well,
who's that? Actually, Aniayah, you can go.
I agree with Rayshal when she said that education and being educated about gender-based violence is the best thing. I definitely agree with that. And I can say when it comes to supporting people, I would say letting them know that what they say and express won't be talked about or shared with, and that it's a safe place for them to speak about their experiences.
Thanks. I kind of just wanted to jump in and add on. I feel like our generation, or like certain people I've seen, like we low key sometimes be too funny, which is good sometimes, but at the same time, I think we're too funny in the sense that we like make jokes about stigmatisms that are actually happening about it, and like it might even be our closest squad and our closest groups, and we don't know what's going on behind closed doors with people. So I feel like sometimes when we're too funny about it, like it kind of, and like though we're trying to lighten the mood, it kind of shuts people in about not expressing certain things because they don't feel like anybody's going to take it seriously. So maybe if we were a little more like, I guess, balanced in the sense of like the people we're surrounded with and like environments we're in, understanding that like we don't really know. We only see what people allow us and provide us to see, and actually start like being more conscious and aware of our surroundings, allowing people. I feel like that would just create a space where there's more comfortability, like people will be taken more seriously and like can actually understand heartful conversations and just things that's going on with them.
I want to share.
I agree. Go ahead.
Thank you. I want to share that, every Tuesday, like me and these beautiful girls on this other side of the screen, we join together every Tuesday with our facilitators. We have Erica and Miss Aaliyah. And I just want to use that as an example. Like, this is how we tackle gender-based violence. We come together as a collective and we talk about issues that concerns, or like basically issues that that's going around, issues that like needs to be talked about. And in this group, we have we have rules where we like, it's not the facilitator to make the rules, we make the rules. And it's more like, for example of the rule is confidentiality. I'm sorry. Another example is one mic, because one mic is more like allowing everybody to have a say. And if somebody's not comfortable speaking, then it's okay, it's okay. And that's like, this group helped me open up so much, because I was just more like quiet to myself. And this group helped me open up and be more like a social butterfly more. And like having more of like these kind of groups, it definitely will cause a great impact in gender-based violence, because it gives people, or young adults, room to grow and make mistakes, because that's okay, but have a safe place to come to. So yeah.
Thank you. Any last thoughts before we close this discussion off?
I agree. Yeah, I agree with Rayshal. And to answer the last question, what's needed to prevent or decrease gender-based violence for everybody could just be like classes for healthy relationships. And I honestly, there's not really much I can say about that because of the fact that people gonna do what they want. But to help the situation, I feel like the only way people would be in healthy relationships is if they knew what it was. So, because some people come from toxic environments and some people come from toxic situations, so you can't always blame the person. But so if they were taught a little bit about what it's like to be a healthy person or what it's like to be a good person, then maybe it'll prevent gender-based violence or decrease.
Thank you. Thank you everybody for sharing. I feel like that was a really great discussion. I hope that you guys take all of this with you. I feel like conversations like this don't just stop in this meeting. They keep on going with your peers and keep on going outside. But it was really great to hear all of y'all, because all of that sounds great. So I'm gonna pass the mic back to Erica. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you so much, Abby. And thank you all to our wonderful, wonderful panelists in this roundtable discussion. We are a little past time, but it was such a great discussion. Like, we could definitely go another hour or two. But for the sake of time, we will be closing out. Just to summarize a little bit of what I heard, we are asking a call to community to support people who experience gender-based violence, and also to help hold accountable those who are causing harm. We're calling to empower ourselves and other young people to be able to speak when they feel like they need to say what's happening in their lives and the experiences that they're facing. Educating people in schools on what gender-based violence looks like, trainings for students and teachers, building cultures of consent, restorative justice, and all of these things are so great. Thank you all so much. Girls for Gender is committed to addressing gender-based and racialized violence that young people of color experience. And one of those ways is through our policy work, including producing our 2021 State of Black Girls in New York State report that highlights how gender-based violence impacts girls' incarceration and criminalization, specifically for Black girls. Similar to what our young people mentioned during the panel, the report calls for schools to adopt comprehensive sexual education in schools, education, and solutions, not suspension strategies, moving away from those the punitive system, moving towards restorative systems as few of the ways to begin to address gender-based violence. And you can read the full report on our website. During the panel, our young people also highlighted the fact that it's okay to ask for help and that resources exist to support people who are experiencing gender-based violence. And we wanted to share a list really quickly, if y'all can stay on, of some of the hotline resources that are available in New York City as well as nationally. So if y'all want to take a little screenshot, feel free to do so, but we will also have a full resource list that we'll be sharing with you soon through email, which we have through the registration. So thank you. And we had a question from one of our panelists. What is Love is Respect? Love is Respect is an organization that works with sharing educational resources and support resources specifically for young people. And so if you text Love Is to this number, you can text with a peer advocate 24/7 or chat with a peer advocate online at their website. There's also Trevor Project, New York City Well, and Safe Horizon Hotline that we are sharing quickly as hotlines for y'all right now. And then on behalf of our entire GGE and JustUs teams, we'd like to thank you so much for spending the afternoon with us today. The 16 Days campaign is just getting started. You can find more events and activities on nyc.gov/16days. Which you can also find down here in this little graphic that we're sharing. And next Monday, November 28th, is Go Orange Day. So mobilize your friends and community to wear orange to stand for a brighter future. That was yesterday. Y'all, where does the time go? Oh my gosh. That was yesterday. I hope all of y'all wore orange. You can still join the conversation on social media using the hashtags NYC against GBV and hashtag Orange the World. We hope you all had a great time with us today. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to JustUs, GGE, to all of y'all for being here, and to all of our organizations worldwide and certainly in New York City that are helping to further this cause to end gender-based violence. Thank you. Have a great night.
That's it. Good night.
All right, bye y'all. You did an amazing job. You're gonna send some kudos your way through Slack.
Yes, Tess is saying y'all did a good job.
We're amazing.
Woot woot.
How are you feeling?
How was it? Santana said never again.
You did
But she
great.
did such a good job.
All right, I'll send kudos your way via Slack, but have a good rest of your program today. Erica, if there's time, comments.
Wait, sorry. Can you say that again, Tess?
I was just saying, Erica, if y'all have time and you want to look at the zine, especially with Santana who wasn't there last week,
Oh, yeah, you want to see the zine?
you can add some comments to the Canva for me.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do that definitely.
Sounds good.
Aniayah still needs to send us her stuff.
Can I just show her mine? You have to tell me what's
Yeah.
going on. What I'm telling you.